X-Men Apocalypse is a 2016 American superhero film produced and directed by Bryan Singer and written by Simon Kinberg from a story by Bryan Singer, Simon Kinberg and Michael Dougherty and Dan Hans. What's good? It's a Boy Dude Reviews, and today we have got the ninth installment in the X-Men film series, Apocalypse. And this film acts as a sequel to Days of Future Past. Well, the timeline after Logan was thrown into the ocean. That timeline, not the future one. When I first saw this movie being announced, I thought it was going to be set in the future, having the future X-Men movies. But then I found out it was set with the young X-Men films, and I was like, okay, never mind. It's fine. But nevertheless, the film is based on the fictional X-Men characters that appear in the Marvel Comics and stars James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Oscar Isaacs, Nicholas Hoult, Rosie Byrne, Ty Sheridan, Sophie Turner, Oliver Munn, Ben Hardy, and Lucas Till. And in the film, worshipped as a god since the dawn of civilization, the immortal Apocalypse becomes the first and most powerful mutant awakening after thousands of years. He recruits the disheartened Magneto and other mutants to create a new world order. As the fate of the Earth hangs in the balance, Professor X and Raven lead a team of young X-Men to stop their seemingly invincible nemesis from destroying mankind. Ooh. And the film was announced by Bryan Singer in December 2013 with Simon Kinberg, Michael Dougherty and Dan Harris attached to develop the story. And it was released in London May 9th, 2016, released in the US May 27th, 2016 in 3D and 2D and in IMAX 3D. It received mixed reviews from critics, with the praise given to its themes and acting performances, while the Apocalypse character and the overuse of CGI was heavily criticised. And this film acts as kind of like the film to set up the Dark Phoenix film, which has already been released. It's been released today, I think, around the world, and I'm about to see it on Saturday. And let's talk about the good of this film. And the good of this film, I have to admit, is I have to say that the new cast really do give it their all in this new version of the X-Men film series. This is the first film to actually begin the new timeline. Now, everything that's happening in this film, it's a prequel, but you gotta remember, dude, this is set in a new timeline. So the movies of X-Men 1 and 2, X-Men 3, basically everything that had happened from the point Wolverine woke up in 1973 onwards never happened. So X-Men 1, 2, 3, Origins of Wolverine, the Wolverine, Days of Future Past in the future is all completely erased. All those movies you watched doesn't even matter. This is kind of a reboot in a way because of the events, and I feel like it was a smart reboot because they were able to change certain things and add certain situations, and I really liked it. I have to admit, I did like the addition of Jean Grey in this. Like, we don't have a whole backstory of her as a kid, and it's just Jean Grey with her powers and then and there, and it's pretty cool. I have to admit, the first time I saw Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, I wasn't too thrilled with it, but I have to admit, the more times I watch this film, I do appreciate her as Jean Grey, and she does a great job. James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender do a really great job, but I feel like the scenes with Magneto, Michael Fassbender's character, are probably one of the best scenes. Like, the scenes when he has his wife and daughter are just so wonderful and innocent, and if you've seen the film, yeah, it doesn't go well. And let's talk about spoilers because it's really hard to talk about spoilers. So I'll give you a spoiler warning. Go watch the film right now and come back to this timestamp in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, his family die and it is tragic. Like, his reaction to his wife getting shot by the police in Poland is just horrifying. And the way that his wife and daughter are killed, I have to admit, it's done stupidly because there's one police guard is just kind of like holding the bow and arrow because his daughter is a mutant and she's trying to attack the policeman, and he accidentally shoots her unintentionally, and he just lets rip. He enraged, and it's just the acting by Michael Fassbender. It just makes me realize that his dude is a great actor. He's a great guy. And I just love those scenes as well, you know, how torn and angry he is. James McAvoy also does a really great job as the young Charles Xavier. He's starting to come into his own and starting to become more a bit like Patrick Stewart, but still adding his own flair and charm. Like, I feel like this version, he's still young, and, you know, he has a very, like, he's a very snarky Professor X, you know. He's very, you know, he's kind of cool, and he's very, you know, with the times in a way. He's this kind of cool Xavier in a way. He knows how to have fun and all that jazz, and he's a really good job. Does a really, once again, Professor X is a damsel in distress, but what can you do? It's Professor X. Other characters were like, I have to admit, I do like the guy who portrays Scott in this film. What was his name? Ty Sheridan. He's the younger version of Scott Summers, and he does a really good job. He really does capture Jason Marsden's character as Scott Summers. He did a really good job. I was really digging his performance. I was like, yeah, this is definitely the Scott of the young. I really, 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 really liked it. And yeah, I really enjoyed this version of Scott. I have to admit, I did like the young Nightcrawler as well, who was played by Cody Smith McPhee. He did play a really good version of like the Nightcrawler. I really felt like this was the Nightcrawler of the time, and it was really great. But Evan Peters as Quicksilver steals the scene once again, having like topping Time in a Bottle scene back in Days of Future Past. This one was just even crazier, and it was longer, and my gosh, the CGI was crazy in this scene. Absolutely crazy. And the thing with this film is that we do get to explore more of Quicksilver's like you know, story, and obviously he is the son of Magneto, and I mean, golly, like, you do get to see a lot more of him, and you get to see him interact with the X-Men. He becomes more of the X-Men, and I'm happy they incorporated him in this film as well. It was really done really well. Alexandra Shipp as Storm, once again, another great addition to this. She really does play a really great young Storm. And I do like Josh Hellman as William Stryker. He really, I don't know, he does a really good job, and I can't wait to see more of this guy. I have to admit, I think I like this guy a little bit more. Nah, I don't. Nah, Brian Cox just always does a good job as Stryker. And yeah, good job. Ben Hardy, who's Peter Bill from EastEnders, did an okay job as Angel, I suppose. And yeah, the casting was really, 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 really well done in this film. I really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, Nicholas Hoult as Beast, fantastic. He's always great. He's always cool in this movie. The CGI, the visual effects have greatly improved in this film. My gosh, have they improved. They really, it's so great seeing how much like the action scenes have just, the choreography just improved greatly in these movies, to be honest with you. And honestly, the soundtrack of this film is possibly the best, so one of the best scores in the X-Men series. My gosh, the scores, like the timing, the John Ottoman music, my gosh, it did remind me a lot of like the X-Men 1 and 2. It did have that feel, but it was so modern, and it was so amazing, and it was just so, it just worked well with what the characters were feeling, and it was always playing, you know, that score. I would definitely buy the soundtrack of it. And this is where we come to my mixed aspect. Now let's talk about the mixed. And the mixed, I would have to say, it's very, there's more mixed. There are certain, I would say the writing of this movie isn't done as well as it could be. I mean, it's good, but there are some words that certain characters use that are just not that great, you know? Yeah, particularly the Apocalypse character. And personally, this is where we come to my negative for me. The negative is the Apocalypse character. The thing with this film is that everything that had happened, if Apocalypse wasn't in this film and we just had the movie, everything in this film would be amazing, you know. I really did enjoy. Oh, before we talk about Apocalypse, I know another mixed aspect, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence is a mixed aspect because I feel like she's kind of sleepwalking through this performance. Like, every time she's on screen, she's kind of got this bland expression. She's never really doing what she did in like Days of Future Past, having that. I feel like she's kind of tired of these movies, to be honest with you. She's just doing it for a paycheck. But then there are other scenes where she's just absolutely amazing. So it is a mixed aspect. But negatives, as I said before, is definitely the Apocalypse character. As I said, I just feel like this character is very comic booky and very cartoony at times. He has some of the worst dialogue ever. I kind of feel like if this guy didn't speak, it would be so much better. What they should have done was like have this character talk in a different language but have subtitles every time he was speaking, or not talk at all, because it was so comic booky and cartoony. The words were just so bad, and I was not a fan of the dialogue at all, to be honest with you. Oscar Isaac does try, but mate, the screenplay does not do him any favors. I'm a bit disappointed because Bryan Singer did X-Men 1 and 2 and Days of Future Past, which were flipping amazing. And you would think, the thing is that the screenplay happening with the characters is done really well, but when it comes to the villain, it kind of clashes with the nicely paced script with the mutants, and it's just, ooh, yeah, not so good, not so good. So that's why I'm kind of crossing my fingers that Dark Phoenix is going to have better writing in it, and hopefully it will. Also, I have to admit, particularly the final scene, the final like act of the film, the CGI does get a little bit too much. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was just like so much CGI, and I could just tell it was like, oh, okay, tone it down a bit, tone it down. I feel like they were using a lot of green screen in this film because it was very CGI-ish, very shiny at times, and it was like, oh gosh. But yeah, I would recommend getting this film on Blu-ray because, God, this film looks good on Blu-ray. My gosh, it's definitely the best Blu-ray looking movie. If you're to watch this film on home video, get it on Blu-ray because it looks beautiful on Blu-ray. My gosh. But I have to admit that I do prefer this film over the Last Stand movie. I mean, because this film is over 2 hours long, and with Last Stand, the problem I had with Last Stand was that it was too short and you had so many characters and we didn't have enough time to explore them. With this film you have just the same amount of characters as you had in Last Stand, but they're able to, you know, adapt, and we're able to see and know who these characters are as the film progresses. And I thought that was a really good thing, to be honest with you. And yeah, with that, I'm definitely going to give X-Men Apocalypse, you know, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, and I'm gonna give it a B. It wasn't bad, I have to admit. It was actually pretty good, but the script and some of the dialogue was just clashing. And the thing is that it had great moments, better moments than The Last Stand, and I feel like I'm still like hoping that Dark Phoenix is gonna be good. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. Please like, share this video, and comment down below and tell me what's your favourite X-Men flick. With that said, thank you for watching. As always, Border Review signing out.